Greetings from the Brandpunt studios here in Kilner Park in Pretoria. Do join us as we bring you yet another interesting and relevant story that affects our Christian world on a daily basis. It is with interest that Brandpunt is following up on a story by ChristianView Network, who has emailed the latest news to us about a review application in the North Gauteng High Court by a certain Dr. Jacques de Vos against the Healthcare Professional Council of South Africa, also known as the HPCSA, asking for the right to be heard and declared guilty or innocent for his attempting to save an unborn baby from abortion. Now, according to ChristianView Network, De Vos has been unable to practice medicine for the last 4 years since he has completed his internship because the gynae doctor refused to sign off his work based on his attempting to save a baby almost halfway through pregnancy, informing the mother that the child was a human being. Dr. De Vos's supervisor at 2 Military Hospital in Wynberg, Cape Town, lodged a complaint against him with the Healthcare Professional Council of South Africa. The military since then has disassociated themselves with the case, telling ChristianView Network that this was a religious disagreement between 2 doctors. According to ChristianView Network, instead of giving him a fair trial, the Healthcare Professional Council of South Africa has played a cat and mouse game with Dr. De Vos by repeatedly instituting charges, delaying the case and then withdrawing the charges, but still not allowing him to practice medicine for the past 4 years. The Healthcare Professional Council of South Africa appointed a lawyer to prosecute De Vos in the internal tribunal, who has for 4 years failed to make a case. The treatment of Dr. De Vos severely damaged the credibility of the HPCSA and leaves all medical practitioners vulnerable to arbitrary, politically motivated abuse. Essentially, they are denying him the right to practice medicine without finding him guilty. According to ChristianView Network, the injustice of the De Vos case has drawn thousands of social media shares and comments and reignited the abortion debate in South Africa. What is on trial is not just Dr. Jacques de Vos, but the humanity of the 18-week unborn baby that is tried to save. Due to the case being sub judice, Dr. De Vos were unable to speak to us, but we've spoken to Philip Rosenthal from ChristianView Network and representatives of the Healthcare Professional Council of South Africa. Please note that the opinions in this upcoming interview is not necessarily that of Radio Pulpit or the announcer on duty, but therefore you are a listener to make an informed decision. Don't go away, as we'll be back with our respondents right after this. We're back in the program Brandpunt, and I've got my respondent online from ChristianView Network, Philip Rosenthal. I'll be chatting to him in a moment, but please take note that we did try to contact the lawyers of the HPCSA, the Healthcare Professional Council of South Africa, and invited them to take part in this discussion and put their side of the story on the table. However, at the time of recording this program, they have not responded to our request to take part in the program, and we decided to continue with this story. Online, I do have the ChristianView Network, Philip Rosenthal. Philip, good day to you and welcome to Brandpunt. Are you well this morning?
Yes, hello, good morning.
Philip, thank you so much for joining us here at Brandpunt. Philip, have we got the facts straight? And for those who's not sure what's happening and what we're talking about, what are the facts with regards to Dr. De Vos and the Healthcare Professional Council of South Africa? Is there more to this story than meets the eye, or what would you say?
Okay, well, for those who are new to the story, essentially, Dr. De Vos attempted to save an unborn baby that was halfway through pregnancy, from being aborted by persuading the mother not to abort. And he was then charged with misconduct, and charges were brought to the Healthcare Professions Council of South Africa. And this has been ongoing now for 4 years, and he has still not been allowed to practice. Neither has he been found either guilty or innocent. And the excuse that the Healthcare Professions Council seems to have made for why they've been unable to actually find him guilty or innocent is that they claim that the applicant or the complainant withdrew. But I have read through the papers, and they have not been able to present any evidence that anybody even made a complaint against him. So this seems like the complaint came purely from the abortion doctors who were unhappy with his pro-life views. The mother of the baby didn't put in a complaint at all, and they haven't been able to get a complaint for her. So this shouldn't really never have been entertained at all. But the problem is that now, by leaving this in limbo and not finding him innocent or guilty, but still making the claim that he is guilty, although they haven't been able to prove it or find him guilty, then that stops him from carrying on with his career. So they've essentially instituted charges, withdrawn them again, reinstituted the charges, withdrawn them again, and made umpteen postponements over 4 years. And now they're still dodging. And instead of agreeing to his demand that they convene a tribunal and declare him either innocent or guilty, they have chosen to continue to fight this in the North Gauteng High Court, increasing the legal costs for his side and also wasting everybody's time. And essentially they're using the funds of other doctors in order to victimize a doctor who has done absolutely nothing wrong. And in fact, he has produced expert witness testimony for what he told the woman. Firstly, that an unborn child is a human being, and secondly, that the abortion causes suffering to the mother, mental suffering, and that they have been unable to refute.
So, Philip, it is understood that the military has since disassociated themselves with the case, telling an organization like yourself, ChristianView Network, that this was just a religious disagreement between two doctors. Do you agree with that statement by the military? What have you got to say about that?
Yes, well, I think that was quite right that the military did that. And I think they withdrew because Dr. De Vos has really done absolutely nothing wrong. It's just that it seems that the doctor who was doing the abortions was offended by the fact that Dr. De Vos was opposing abortion and tried to save this unborn baby. But to me, just seems like malice and discrimination. There's a poll that was conducted by Dr. Harvey Ward of Western Cape doctors that found that 1/3 of the doctors didn't want to be at all involved in abortion. They were opposed to abortion. Another third were prepared to be involved, and another third had different views depending on the circumstances that they might be prepared to be involved. So really, if this is accepted, they can then discriminate against any one of those 2/3 of doctors who have got reservations about abortion. And I think what they're really trying to do is just intimidate other doctors from speaking up to tell the truth, that the unborn baby is a human being. And this is actually quite ridiculous, because I have a letter from a group of abortion doctors, which we dialogued with years ago, in which they say in the letter that they agree that with our statement that life begins at conception. So and this was the same group of doctors that motivated for abortion to be legalized. So, and I've further challenged one of these lead abortion doctors from Groote Hospital and asked her, does she not have conscience problems about what she is doing? And she says, yes, she knows what she's doing is wrong. So the thing is that these people are in denial that what they're doing ethically is wrong, and they are attempting to impose this on other doctors who don't want to do it.
So, Philip, where are we with the Dr. De Vos case at the moment? The case between the Healthcare Professional Council of South Africa and Dr. De Vos. What needs to happen next now?
Dr. De Vos has asked the Pretoria High Court he's applied to them and he's asked them to force the Healthcare Professions Council to give a verdict either of innocent or guilty, to which he is entitled in terms of the procedural law. And that would be his lawyers have argued in terms of the Promotion of Administrative Justice Act, the Criminal Procedure Act, and the Constitution, that if he has been charged, then he is entitled to a verdict of guilty or innocent. They cannot just make a claim that he is guilty and not prove it and make an actual finding based on the evidence. Hopefully the court will order the Healthcare Professions Council to reconvene the tribunal and make a finding either of guilty or innocent. And after they've done that, then he can make an application to the court to force the doctor who supervised his internship to sign him off as having done it, because at the moment he's refusing to sign him off for doing his internship on the basis that he has an ethics complaint against him. But if the ethics complaint, if he's found innocent of that, then the man has no excuse not to sign him off. And then once he's signed off, then the Healthcare Professions Council must allow him to practice as a doctor. And quite possibly he would also have a claim for 4 years of back pay that he has lost because of this discrimination. But at the moment, they are trying to do is just dodge and play games. So I think what he would like is to end the games and have an innocent finding.
Please understand that at time of this recording, Brandpunt did try to contact the lawyers of the Healthcare Professional Council of South Africa, who did not respond to our request to take part in this conversation. Philip, how will a positive, innocent or negative, guilty, whichever way you want to look at it, outcome affect the future of healthcare professionals in South Africa, in your understanding?
Well, I think in many ways, but firstly, it will affect pro-life healthcare professionals, that they will then be able to give advice that the unborn child is a human being and that there are risks of mental health problems in going through with abortion. But the second issue is that if the Healthcare Professions Council is allowed to get away with this treatment, they can equally charge and find guilty and deny the right to practice to any doctor for any excuse, because they're not following the rules of procedural justice. And so all doctors are then vulnerable to abuse. But further than that, if they get away with it, that would also leave vulnerable anybody who is registered with a state entity for their profession. For example, accountants, engineers, architects, are all registered with a state body to be allowed to practice their profession. And if that body can just arbitrarily find them guilty without following due process, then all of those people are just vulnerable. Then you can be spending hundreds of thousands rand on an education, and at the end of the day, you can't use that. So that would be very unfair. And so we don't believe that the Healthcare Professions Council should be allowed to get away with this. But I think there's something else here, which is that these people have repeatedly made a claim which is materially false, and now made this claim in court, which is the claim that the complaint was withdrawn against Dr. De Vos. Now, if you say that the complaint was withdrawn, then that implies that there was a complaint originally, but they have not produced any evidence that there ever was a complaint. They don't have a letter from the mother complaining about what Dr. De Vos said to her, and she's not willing to bring a complaint. She's not interested in being involved in this thing. And so, in my view, this is ridiculous. You know, you can't just say, well, you heard some hearsay of gossip from somebody else and therefore charge them, and they are then prejudiced for years being prosecuted just on a bit of hearsay. You need to have somebody who's actually made a formal complaint when it doesn't seem like there ever was.
I know that you're not a theologian, Philip, but allow me to ask you this question. Where does a case like this leave us as Bible-believing Christians in South Africa?
Well, this would prejudice all of us, because it means then that if you express a viewpoint, and I think it's not just the view of Christians. We know there's an international body, the World Values Survey, which has conducted a scientific survey of South Africans, and they find that in that survey that 2/3 of South Africans are opposed to abortion being legal. I think an even bigger proportion regarded as morally unacceptable. And so this is not only something for Christians, definitely is an issue for Christians, but it's an issue for the majority of South Africans, that then this group of people would be not allowed to express their viewpoints. But further than that, this is a scientific issue in that the medical evidence is that the unborn baby is a human being. There's a continuum from conception through birth to childhood, through adulthood to old age. There is nothing that suddenly changes at the point of halfway through pregnancy, where the person was before not a human being and then afterwards is a human being, which is the date when abortion is legal in this country. So that would mean that you're not allowed to tell the person the truth, and you've got these abortion advocates that are saying that the unborn baby is just a blob of tissue, which you can clearly see is not true from photographs of the unborn child, from ultrasound of the child moving around in the womb, even sucking a thumb, jumping in response to sounds outside of the womb from 14 weeks onwards. So this is all information that, regardless of your views on abortion, the doctor should be telling the mother so that the mother knows. But in most cases, they're not. So this would basically gag doctors out of fear to stop them from giving proper informed information to mothers who are considering abortion.
I believe a review application in the North Gauteng High Court by Dr. Jacques de Vos against the Healthcare Professional Council of South Africa was lodged this past week. Do we know the outcome of that, and have we got any answers on that in closing our chat this morning? And do we know the outcome of that review application?
Well, we don't know the outcome. In my opinion, from the point of view of justice, he definitely should get his right to a finding of guilty or innocent in terms of procedural justice, but we'll have to await what the court says, and I would guess sometimes these people may take a month to come up, or more, to come up with a verdict. But I hope that he does get a verdict which allows him to get a procedural verdict in this court that will allow him to get a guilty or innocent finding in the Healthcare Professionals Tribunal.
That then the head of ChristianView Network down in Cape Town, Philip Rosenthal, is sharing his heart on this very controversial issue at the moment on social media, on social platforms, about Dr. De Vos, who sadly so off the case cannot speak to us at the moment, but we'll keep tabs on that. Philip, thank you so much for sharing your heart with us this morning and sharing the information with our listeners.
Thanks,